Podcast excellence since 2005. This is the King of Podcasts radio network, kingofpodcasts.com.
Even sugar dating is feeling the pinch of inflation.
We are all a little depraved and debaucherous. Here is the King of Podcasts.
So we are a day before Halloween. If you celebrate that, I'm sure it's very depraved and debaucherous of you to go and do that. But yeah, I don't do a Halloween themed episode. I don't do any Halloween or holiday themed episodes anyway. Except I guess maybe Valentine's Day. I'll talk about that and cuffing season, but that's pretty much the seasons I talk about on the program. Anyway, thanks for listening to the program. Finding out as you do, kingofpodcasts.com. When you click through the Depraved and Debaucherous logo, you will find the website for the show with past episodes, with how you can go ahead and subscribe to the show, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, all those places. Wonderful. And you can also find all the social media where you can go and reach out and follow me. You'll see clips of the program where I'm kind of constantly letting you know what I talk about during that week. And some of those clips are going to probably get played back here on the program coming up because we are coming towards the end of the year. And usually somewhere between, if I need to, right? Once we get to about Thanksgiving to the end of the year, then we will go best of. And we will go through all the things that encompass the Depraved and Debaucherous world here on the program. We'll go ahead and do that over several subsequent episodes. The best of. And we'll play back clips and we'll listen to all the things that were going on because it'll be fascinating to go ahead and look at what we've gone through in the year that was 2024. So get ready for that. That's coming very soon on the program. Stay tuned for that. Tonight, a story from Refinery 29 from a young lady that writes an anonymous editorial and writes, "I love my job, but I make more money for my sugar daddy." Now, she talks about the sugar daddy that she has named David. Now, first of all, she's 32 years old, and he has a financial arrangement with David, who is a divorced 52-year-old American CEO, and that's been going on for 3 years. So very quiet and discreet. And in that time, every month, he has deposited approximately 2,000 pounds directly into her bank account every month. So what is that, $2,800, $3,000 American, right? She met him on Seeking. And while there's no exchange for sexual services permitted, she says as an escort site, sex and money are the forefront of every member's interactions. Well, if you've heard me talk about this program enough, I want to say about 30% is really the escorts, or really just the really transactional relationships. Because I believe about 70% of those others are, they want to kind of play it but transactional, but more they will offer to be much more of a girlfriend experience. But for the most part, I think there are a lot of women that are on there that are looking to go ahead and just supplement their income. And if I had to put a percentage on how many women probably go ahead and do sugar dating and still keep their work, because as we've looked in previous surveys and studies here on the program, a woman might make $2,000 to $5,000 consistently for an extended period of time through sugar dating. And for some, maybe they want to do something that's more discreet with somebody that is much more affluent and is not caught up in the whole fact of, let's say, doing OnlyFans or doing some other content, private Snapchats, whatever it is. Now, she goes on and says, this is a very elaborate, lavish scenario. So she was very high priced. Think Pretty Woman. This is basically what this woman was. So she had good and bad experiences with meeting men on Seeking. One, she had gone out for a drink and offered her 200 pounds for sex. She declined. Another, 16,000 pounds cash to rent his own flat for 6 months because he wanted to help and expected nothing in return. She accepted that. So when she started talking about dating, it felt more akin to normal dating. She had some back and forth messaging for about a week, and they met for the first time in one of the stylish restaurants in London. She was delayed and got there to meet him 30 minutes late. But he reassured her once she showed up late, that past the agreed meeting time, that he'd wait, and he insisted don't rush. Once she turned up, the date was great, she says, and they spoke at length on various topics and shared details of personal lives over cocktails, wine, and 3-course dinners. Instant connection, she says. And they had differing political viewpoints. Interesting. Sex and money were put on the back burner. I can see how and why he was successful. He was charming and gentlemanly and intelligent. His net worth was also well into 7 figures. So the way she's making it sounds like, okay, this guy is a good catch. But now, what is it about women today that if they find a man that even is able to go ahead and support a lifestyle, why then continue to go and do something else where you're keeping yourself independent and open? Because that's the thing too. The exclusivity of it all. Is it something where that causes a price tag as well? Because that's the other thing I got to talk about. When you look at some of the guys that, when a woman is looking for 6 foot tall, 6-figure income, 6-pack abs, or 6 inches packing underneath, all those things that are there, but yet they will still treat that man or want to treat that man as transactional, or the man will treat the woman as transactional. So the thing is, I want to make sure to get rid of the cloudiness, that gray area that everybody has when it comes to sugar dating, escorting, and what women are thinking delusionally that they are escorting themselves. They're no litter than high price whores. Listen, if Mark listened to me talking like this, huh? But anyways, think about it like that. When you look at these areas and you say to yourself, this lady, she could speak just like the woman we would see on a panel on whatever, Fresh and Fit, or on a 20-to-1 panel, with the balloon panels, all those things. Like we see that, and that's like commonplace. We've seen the balloon thing is much more common, but we've seen, the whatever podcast or Fresh and Fit or some of these others that are out there that they talk like this. And also a lot of dating podcasts there, the women have this frenetic, delusional markers on themselves. But then I'm not even talking about the fact of how they might be delusional, that they as a woman are going to be of interest to a guy who has those parameters. Let's not even look at the part of what the woman is. I'm just saying when a woman has a guy like this, and if they're getting supported constantly and regularly, and the guy is good, it's one of two things. Are you worried about the fact that as a woman, there's a shelf life to this because you are young, you are beautiful, and maybe you're not looking to go past any farther than that? I mean, the thing is, there are plenty of guys that are rich and successful that will go ahead and support a woman and marry them and have children and know that they are very well with someone that is pretty much in that lifestyle. Like, how many guys do we know that they already know, yeah, they are supporting the women and supporting them in such a lifestyle that they're just sustaining. And so they'll stay married as long as it stays consistent. And as long as they're being treated well. Which means it's just for their beauty and their youth and nothing else, because they're not offering anything else. And also, if this woman's also making money for her job, she's not putting anything back into the relationship. It doesn't sound like it. Now, she says their relationship started in December 2021. So it's coming up on 3 years. Dates were scheduled, and they became increasingly close physically and mentally, cuddling up in dark, quiet corners of upmarket cocktail bars, talking softly, gently holding hands, passionately kissing between conversations. And she would rub her lower leg on his shins underneath the table, act suggestively, but we always make sure to show decency in public, though the sexual tension was clear. Right, but she's not moving along and escalating this to, let's go get a room, let's go somewhere else, let's go back to your place, go back to my place. Nothing of that. Plus, that interaction, that intimacy, only in the bars, only where she's constantly getting drinks served to her, or she's spending on other things at the bar. Like, it's part of still pay to play. And if she's getting money that is aside from the $2,000 a month, 2,000 pounds a month, and yet she's still hanging on to the fact that whatever they're doing together, whatever pleasure he gets, it's still on his dole. It's still on his dime. It's still on his American Express black card, right? That's what he's doing. She talked about, now, when I kissed him, I could smell his aftershave. Fresh and subtle. I love that he always made an effort. Dressed smartly, looking every bit the CEO. He complimented me freely, flirting with me, telling me how great I looked, but teasing me about yet another all black outfit choice. Far from arrogant and rude, he treated waiting staff exceptionally well, leaving generous tips as he surreptitiously paid the bill. Now, my question is, with this guy, what she describes here, maybe she doesn't understand that this is not the only guy this is the only girl that he spends time with. Now, he is from America, flies to London to spend time with her, but he goes back to the States. And she says they never slept with each other for over a year after our first meeting. To this day, we've only slept together one time, and our schedules are tricky to align. So there's something where I feel like this guy must be doing something else. He's got someone else he has sex with, but there's something about the time he spends with this girl. It's maybe keeping up appearances for himself as a CEO, and he wants to have someone that's arm candy that will look good around him, a trophy that will look good for him to go and look at. That will be looked at him, so it builds up his credit, his capital. I don't know, his social capital. Now, she talked about living in London. She was in a flat, and that her rent had gone up 25%, and she was worried. She was surprised at how phased he was. He doesn't worry about money. He's generous with his own and understanding of my situation. He's older than me, knows the difficulties of being young and broke, but has never made me feel lesser of it. Now, what's the other part about maybe if he's not trying to get intimate with her because he doesn't want to get attached, but he also knows that she could very well get attached. And that's the part I got to think about, where I'm wondering if he is going to go ahead and try to hold back on things, enjoy the company, but he's not going to go any farther to where she's going to be attached to him or latched at the hip, because then she'll ask for more. So enjoy the time, enjoy the intimacy where it's at, but also keep a distance. I guess. I don't know. Now, she's writing this anonymously, and she says that all he asks for in return are nude photos of her, and she's happy to provide them. Honesty and regular communication. So she's asked, why do you help me? And he says, because I actually care about you, and there's a thrill and mystery to us. Plus, there's the fact that I find you to be intelligent, sexy, funny, and a challenge. Now, she says this relationship is obviously transactional, but not like for like. She doesn't demand pictures, and I don't demand payment. We stay in regular content, conversations fluid. I know what he wants, he knows what I want, and understanding and trust has formed over the years. And that means that we don't need to speak constantly about the nature of the arrangement. I'm always quick to address friends' concerns that I might feel pressure to do something I don't want to do, but under no circumstances has he ever made her do anything that she's uncomfortable with. She has a lot to say. And he's inspiring, thoughtful, kind of funny. I'm free to do as I please. I go to him for advice. I like to think he was respectful of his time. I have managed to save a lot on time with him. I pay my rent and bills on time because of him. I buy food. I'm able to visit my family thanks to him. I can easily splash on more designer bags, shoes, clothes, extravagant evenings out, and Ubers, but I'm mature enough to realize how fortunate I am to be in this position. She also says that she's trying to persuade him to buy her a flat of her own. Greedy. So she says that it might sound problematic, but will he want to help me when I'm nearing 40? No, there will be a cutoff date. He's being generous right now that he prefers someone at 32 years old to be with, because he could very well go the conventional route and go for someone younger, but he's not. He's doing you a favor. Now, he's a grandfather, and he eventually would want children. He's American. His primary residence is across the pond. The 20-year age gap, it doesn't add up. Now, she says her friends know about her arrangement, but she keeps family in the dark. And she knows that family would be overwhelmingly disapproved of this, and they would judge her. Men are commonly seen to be taking advantage of struggling women in these kind of relationships, but my counter argument is that if it's between two consenting adults who are happy to have this style of relationship and are communicating their needs as effectively does hurt anyone, is it as wrong as sometimes made out to be? It goes without saying I morally oppose any relationship of this kind where this isn't the case. Now, she is a journalist, financially independent. She's trying to apply for full-time jobs, regularly pitching ideas to editors, but if she can't make ends meet, or David decides to call the arrangement, then she's going to be stuck. Will she have to consider alternative employment, living circumstances? She's not dating in the traditional sense. I would consider ending the arrangement if the right man came along. Now, she says there's been a handful of men her own age that have asked her out, all on mediocre, unappealing dates. One came to his house to watch Netflix on the first day because he couldn't be bothered to take me for dinner. One took me to travel to a pub an hour train ride away and a 5-minute walk from his flat. So yeah, come to me close by to where I live. And one ghosted me after arranging drinks. I'm not against dating men my own age, but in my own experience, older men tend to be farther more gentlemanly and considerate, often meeting me halfway between our homes or insisting on dinner dates and getting me an Uber home so I'm safe. The chivalry is unmatched, and while it might make me sound like a princess, I can't help but find it incredibly attractive. Of course it is. We don't have to put out, like, what are you really doing to make this guy happy? He's not even really getting anything anyway. Let's be honest. David is getting jack shit from you. Some attention. I mean, he could be spending a whole lot less, getting a whole lot more. I don't know if it's just feeling pity for you or what it could be. We don't know what's in this guy's head. And honestly, you might as well enjoy the gravy train while you can, because it's not going to last long. It just won't. And I could say that you can go ahead and keep looking at this all you want and just say, okay, does this feel like it's going to not be like this forever? And it's a false sense of security, a false sense of intimacy, because all those compliments could be empty. They could be nothing. I mean, listen, he's being nice to you. The only thing that really matters is he's actually spending money on you. And sure, he enjoys seeing your body as it is, but he's not touching you. There's something wrong there. And for her to feel like this was okay, she asked for permission from David to write the feature. He wasn't keen on the idea, but thought it was worthwhile to provide another viewpoint on sugar daddy relationships. Not all are problematic, nor tit for tat, but they can be respectful, honest, and mutually beneficial. No, young lady, this is not mutually beneficial. Okay? It is not. I don't know what makes her think that it is, but it's not. On the contrary. So, Anonymous here, you need to realize that you are making yourself think that other women should be encouraged to sugar date because they're going to find a guy just like this. I think there will be something that will be kind of a shot to your ego or to yourself. Are you too old to have sex with? You're beautiful just to kind of like play around with. That's just a plaything, a trophy. But he doesn't want to sleep with you. He did it once. What does that say about you? Were you not sexually pleasurable with him in bed? Maybe just the fantasy and the tease only works for him with you? Like, do we know if he's with anybody else besides you? I mean, for him, he doesn't want to be noticed out there. He's a financial CEO. He wants to be discreet. And who knows what places you go to where somebody will know who that guy is, because he's going to upscale places with you and places where people could be seen. Who knows? There could be paparazzi for all we know. Famous people probably go there, or somebody that's very important, and they might be being looked after, and all of a sudden, this guy might be noticed. You're putting that guy on the line. Like, you're pushing the envelope. And that I can understand with a woman that is more in her 20s than her early 30s. But he's doing this because part of the thing is, if he wants to have a woman on his side at 52 years old, yeah, he's finding something that's more realistic for him to be with someone your age that can hold a conversation. So, I mean, that's probably fun. That's fine. But for him to go and be able to go and easily just spend money for you to help with your flat or buy you Taylor Swift tickets or all these kind of things and do this for 3 years off and on? No. And then the value of yourself, because you are trying to date other guys, and the guys obviously know that you're high price and you already give off a vibe that you're a high price escort. And they probably have an idea that you have somebody that's trying to support you, because they could probably see, maybe they don't see it in the bags or the shoes or what you're wearing, but they could probably tell that the way you maintain yourself and the fact that you're a journalist, you tell me you're a journalist and you're able to support a lifestyle and a place for yourself, they know you're being coddled. They know you're being managed. They know that you're being supported. So there's someone else there. Maybe it's not somebody that's serious, but these guys that are dating you, they're not going to take you seriously at all. That's why this one guy tried to Netflix and chill instead of dinner. The other one said, come meet me in a pub near my house and take an hour train to come here. You got suckered into that. You're telling me they don't realize who you are and what your agenda is? They probably knew it when they were talking to you on Seeking or wherever else. Because on the other side of the spectrum, there are guys that obviously are just looking for the quick hookup, and they're just going to treat it like you took any other date. All they're doing is just paying a bigger cover charge to get in, right? I mean, at the same time, the guy David here that you met on Seeking that might have spent maybe $150 a month to be on the site, that eventually talk to you for a week and then meet up with you. The other guys might have spent $79, $99, whatever it is a month, wait for the discount or whatever it is to hook up with you as well and talk to you quickly and find a way to get through. I don't think the chivalry is focused on you specifically. So I think, young lady, you might now need to go ahead and focus on yourself and think that you're the reason, okay? You're not even being depraved and debauched like this guy could be doing. You could perceive it like you want and say, oh, see, this guy doesn't want to have sex with me. He just wants to do. But the mindset of the guy would be different. Now, a woman's mindset would just kind of find this as acceptable and just try to make it sound like, well, she's doing better and she continues to keep her prudence and her modern woman independence. But what's actually happening is her value, her beauty and youth, in a way, is affecting her mindset because now she's feeling like, well, what's wrong with me? Because the fact that she's questioning if she's going to be able to hold on to this guy is concerning. She said it herself. What will happen if this guy doesn't want to stay around? He could very well find somebody else, and he absolutely could. And you don't know who he's dealing with at home in the States. Just because he sees you in London on a random visit or whatever it is, you can't expect him to go and just continue that. You need to just save up, which is the smart thing that you did. You're taking advantage at the other end of your prime youth and beauty, okay? Because it doesn't stay, that youth and beauty that you have, that's not going to sustain for someone in his 50s like that for too long. And if you're not transitioning away from the fact that he looks at you and he's admired by your looks and your beauty and the way you look in a black outfit or a black cocktail dress, yeah, that's going to get old after a while. Because it is, in a sense, very materialistic, very shallow. And he looks at you that way. He perceives you that way. He's not trying to get to with you or try to do something after 3 years together. Yeah, he's not trying to making anything else where he hasn't tried to make a consideration of, oh, well, why don't you move over here? Why don't I help you get a visa so you can be closer to me? I bet you he doesn't even thought about that. So for her, it's a long distance hookup. Treat it as that. But this whole fantasy, this cosplay of thinking, oh, well, this guy's like, Edward Lewis in Pretty Woman. And here we go. She's Vivian, Julia Roberts' character in Richard Gere. Like, that's that whole dynamic right now. You're thinking that. But that's just make-believe. He is treating you like Pretty Woman, and that's it. But you're not going to get the guy at the end with flowers, walking, with his head out of the limo. You're not getting that. That's not going to happen. So, ladies, if you're hearing this story, please keep an eye on this. And guys, if you are affluent and you have money on you, do not do this. Listen, you should be able to go ahead and secure yourself a great woman that will be with you because you have everything. You have it all. And she wants to be a part of it. You should be able to go ahead and try to look for that first. But in the meantime, you're not holding yourself down and being exclusive to any woman unless you feel like they're satisfying all your needs. And the ones that might do it for a while, then okay, they're with you and they're here and there. Here and gone. Whenever you want. I would not try to put anything else past that. I would be if I'm looking at it from my perspective, if I were going to do that, I would definitely go ahead and feel like that. Absolutely. One of the things from one of the story before we wrap things up for tonight, and it was something I saw last week. I didn't get a chance to go and bring up, but the Rebecca syndrome. and New York Post put this out here. It's a relationship killing mental illness that stems from childhood trauma. I thought it was interesting that they brought this up, but here it is. It's also referred to as retroactive jealousy. So it's a scary impact on relationships, as experts notice a rise on the inquiries on the condition. Now, a blog post by psychotherapist Toby Ingham, he describes patients with Rebecca syndrome as those who are fixated on their partner's ex-partner. A psychoanalyst, Dr. Darian Leader, was inspired by a Daphne du Maurier's 1938 Gothic novel called Rebecca, coining the condition. The novel tells the story of a young woman who exhibits behaviors that flag insecurities within herself and the relationship, and she develops jealous traits after discovering information about her partner's exes. Again, it's being fixated on a partner's ex-partner. So if you have a girlfriend, it's her ex-boyfriend. It's like that's the idea of this. Now, an obsession. So signs of the condition can be pinpointed when a partner becomes jealous of their partner's exes or previous sexual or romantic relationships. People who suffer from this will find themselves comparing their appearance, intelligence, and sexual intimacy to their former lovers. And Rebecca syndrome can make people insecure, questioning everything about their relationship. And the fixation contributes to obsessional neurosis, a condition where the mind is intruded upon by compulsive words, images, or ideas. And these uncontrollable obsessive thoughts dominate the mind. And then Ingham also admits that retroactive jealousy doesn't bloom from being in a relationship, it stems from childhood. So, telling the Daily Mail, while, quote, these early problems will be unique to each of us, they may, for example, relate to having felt overlooked by a parent who preferred one of our siblings to us, or perhaps their problems feeling we were unimportant or excluded by our birth family. The expert added that people to project your insecurities and personal issues into their present relationships can harm the dynamic. Quote, ask yourself whether your anxiety, your intrusive thoughts about feeling less important to your partner than their former partner, will relate to your own past rather than it being anything to do with your current relationship. And the study that came out, an interview-based study from 2018, talks about that social media encourages retroactive jealousy because users can easily check details of their partner's past relationships. However, Ingham advises people to avoid all conversations of the past if they're unable to leave it there. Could you imagine? You're obsessed over your partner's ex-partner, and you go back and start looking to try to compare yourself because you want to make sure you're better than the ex-partner, and you're not going to be compared to them. Well, first of all, I hope the guys out there are not doing that to the women they're talking to, number one. And then number two, that you might want to put a privacy label or something and do like a security deal to hide your Facebook posts, especially the ones that she's going to see. And I know eventually, maybe there's going to be a time where you're going to have to go and share stories about the girl, the partner of yours, your ex-partner, because it might come up in things. But if they're being obsessed about it, and they're starting looking on your social media, and they're starting to try to find out things to compare themselves to them, that's pretty depraved and debaucherous.